Craig Ballantyne back here with another video to help you triple your morning productivity. Listen, the morning has been so helpful to me over my career. It's allowed me to write 3 best-selling books and build my businesses. But I take a lot of personal pride and pleasure in the results that you are getting from your morning routine. I've helped, there was a guy named Mike Zeller who recently wrote a book in his morning routine after going through my perfect week formula. And then there's my good friend, Bedros Keuilian here. Bedros, when I first met him, I mean, he's always been a lot of fun, but he was a lot of fun. He was a double ton of fun back when I first met him. And so he would stay up very late. He would work late into the night. He'd sleep late. He'd be rushing around in the morning, and he'd always kind of be behind. And he was really frustrated with himself. Like, he was able to get ahead in spite of himself and build a multiple 7-figure business. But after a couple of years of us hanging out and running coaching programs together, he finally decided to go down the rabbit hole. And he describes this in his book, Man Up, on pages 54 and 55. Not that I'm keeping track, but pages 54 and 55 about how I downloaded my discipline into him. And that's one of the reasons why I put together this program. When I downloaded my discipline into Bedros, he went from multimillionaire to running multiple 8-figure businesses. And he's nearly $100 million CEO. So the opportunities for you to go out there and grow because of this information are massive. Now, what Bedros did is he decided to all of a sudden start taking some tips from old Craigie, as he calls me. So we started eating earlier. Instead of having dinner at 7, we were eating dinner at 6 and then 5:30 and eventually 5 o'clock, which allowed him to get to bed earlier, which allowed him to get up and do work when he had a fresh mind in the morning. Plus he got a workout in, and then we would do our coaching sessions and he wouldn't be running late like he was before. And when he switched that over, he went from high anxiety down to low anxiety. He also, along the way, when he had the high anxiety, he very much like me thought he was having a heart attack. Now, he didn't actually drive himself to the emergency room. He just, kind of pushed it down and decided that, that was not something he was going to do. In fact, he drove to work and hid it until it was found out. And he realized it was because he didn't have the discipline in his days and in his mornings. Now what he does is he gets up at 5 o'clock. He does a little bit of gratitude that takes about 5 minutes. He has protein shake. He plays with his dog for about 15 minutes. Cookie the dog, he throws the ball. Cookie gets her energy out. And then he goes to work and he GSDs, gets stuff done, although he says it with a different S word. And then he goes and he works with his phone down across the table so he can't reach it, off and down, face down. And he works for a couple hours. He does revenue generating activities and he's crushing it in the game of life. And that's because of the switches that he made to triple his morning productivity. You've probably heard of my book, Perfect Day Formula. I hope that you have a physical copy in your hands. I hope that you have the Perfect Day Formula kit in your hands already as well. And in there, it just totally describes what we're going to go through here. And it's just so powerful what you're able to accomplish in the morning. And I wrote this book in 15 minutes in the morning. 15 minutes in the morning. Now, you might think, what can you possibly get done in 15 minutes in the morning? And that's the same mentality that so many people had when they came to me as a personal trainer. And I said, you can work out in 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And if you've ever gone to YouTube and watched my 4-minute workout videos, you've seen that nearly 10 million people have gone through my workouts where I've kicked their butt in 4 minutes. So once you're an expert in something, you know how little it takes to get significant results. And I'm an expert in productivity, and I can tell you that in 15 minutes in the morning, you can make massive progress on your big goals and dreams. If you ever want to write a book like I have done, and you can do any decent amount of typing, you can get 500 words out in 15 minutes. 500 words, 6 days a week, 3,000 words in about 20 weeks. Actually, in 15 weeks, you'll have 45,000 words, and that's how many are in the Perfect Day Formula. Okay, you don't have to have 100,000 words, 200,000 words. You don't have to have 500 pages to write a book. My books are short, and I wrote them 15 minutes at a time. And that 15 minutes in the morning set me free. Much like when I was a personal trainer way back in 2002, I didn't want to be a personal trainer. I wanted to have an online business. And I worked 15 to 20 minutes in the morning every single day from 4:30 a.m. till 10 to 5 on my online business. And then I had a shower. Then I got the bus downtown Toronto, where I trained. I was a personal trainer to CEOs. And 15 minutes in the morning over 18 months allowed me to build a 6-figure business, which allowed me to quit that personal training job and live the life of my dreams. So I can tell you that leveraging your morning 15 minutes at a time is a game changer. Over time, it compounds, and the results that you get will allow you to live a life of freedom. Now, if you're able to turn that 15 minutes into 30 minutes, 45, 60, 90 minutes in the morning, the results that you will get will be unlike anything you have ever achieved in your life. It'll be exponentially better than any all-nighter you pulled in college. It'll be exponentially better than any late nights you pulled in the office, because you're working fresh with your mind. You've done your planning and preparation the day before, and this will set you free. So there's two types of people in this world. There's the proactive people who are successful, and there's reactive people who struggle. You need to become professional at being proactive. If you become professional at being proactive, you will not be an amateur procrastinator anymore. And professional at proactive means that you are planning and preparing, that you are looking ahead, that you're getting up on time, that you're not reactive, that, the reactive person is the night owl that stays up cramming and trying to get things done. It's poor work. It's done under the influence of alcohol. It's done while you're watching Netflix at the same time. It's done while your spouse or partner is in the other room angry at you because you're working during quality time. But the proactive person gets to bed on time and gets up on time, doesn't hit snooze, of course, has a plan to go and crush it. And that's where you are going to be successful. So recently, Bedros invited me to speak to a mastermind group. And the leader of the mastermind group was a very famous influencer in the men's thinking space. And he was like, what do you mean 15 minutes in the morning? What can you possibly get done in 15 minutes in the morning? It takes me 15 minutes to get into my morning. And that's because he didn't have better planning and preparation. When you have exquisite planning and preparation, then you will be more successful. And I use the word better here because in the past, you've probably tried to achieve a goal and you failed because your planning and preparation was okay, but it wasn't good enough. Think back to if you've ever tried to lose weight, or maybe you've even done a fitness competition. When you did the fitness competition, you did better planning and preparation than ever before. If you successfully lost weight, you did better planning and preparation than you did in the 19 times you tried to lose weight before that, where you kind of did a little bit of planning, or maybe you just decided to wing it. Well, of course you're going to fail. If you've ever quit smoking, quit drinking, quit doing anything bad, it's because you had better planning and preparation than ever before. You realize like, okay, I want to stop this thing, but when I stop this thing, I'm going to need to do something else instead. Instead of drinking, I'm going to need to have alternative drinks when I go out socially. And instead of drinking alcohol at sports games, I'm going to have to find a different snack that'll, so I don't feel unmanly, and all of that type of stuff. And it all comes down to better planning and preparation. So if somebody tries to quit drinking and they don't have alternative drinks, they're just going to default to the bad behavior. But if you do better planning and preparation than ever before, you will be more successful. And that goes back to the 15 minutes in the morning. That gentleman who said, 15 minutes in the morning, you can't get anything done. I've tried. It's because he didn't do better planning and preparation. So he was waking up and then probably planning what to do. So he's leaving his to-do list too late. If you're doing your to-do list in the morning, you're already too late for the day. You're already too late. You're using the time of day when you have the greatest discipline, willpower, and intention to figure out what the heck to do. And that is a losing cause. What you need to do is the day before, at some time, do our planning and preparation. Remember, the circuit breaker that stops us from having bad habits, the one that sets us free is that planning and preparation. Think about anything that you have enjoyed recently in entertainment and sports. Do you think that the football team that went out there was just winging it? They weren't acting on plays that they had planned and prepared and repeated and practiced over and over again? Do you think that the cast of Hamilton or the movies that you watch and love, that people just made the lines up as they went along? Of course not. They were following a detailed script. Everything that you love and enjoy, from a comedy performance on HBO and Netflix that looks so amazing and professional, it's scripted. They have tested and tracked and improved every joke. They've gone to an audience and tried it out and said, oh, I can make that better. They planned and prepared that joke better. Everything that you see in life is done to a level of greatness because of planning and preparation, not because they are making it up as they go along. And so why would your morning be successful if you just made it up on the moment? It wouldn't be. You need to have exquisite planning and preparation. And if you're like, but I'm planning and preparing now, it's not good enough. It needs to be better. You need to have that brain dump to get all the things out of your head. You need to have your priority to-do list, and you need to have the process planning that makes the path to success smoother. When you have all of those in place, and when you really nail them, you're going to scale them. That's the key. You got to nail it first, then you scale it. And so the person who I was talking to at the event, he was starting to go, yeah, okay, you're right. I don't do any planning and preparation. I see how instead of it taking me 15 minutes to even get into my work in the morning, that if I did the planning and preparation the night before, then I would be able to do more in the morning. Absolutely. Now, here is something that you may or may not believe, but I guarantee it will absolutely help you do better in the morning. And that is getting you the power of the subconscious mind at work. So I love telling this story. I heard it from one of my mentors, and he said, so it comes down to you knowing this book, Think and Grow Rich. Do you know the book, Think and Grow Rich? I hope that you have read it. If you haven't read it, you absolutely need to read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. It sold 50 million copies over the years. It's very famous in the personal development world. Now, up until a few hours, as the story goes, before the book was to be submitted for publication, Think and Grow Rich, an amazing title, was previously titled, Use Your Noodle to Get the Boodle. Use your noodle to get the boodle. Do you really think 50 million copies of that book would have been sold? Nobody calls their brain a noodle anymore, and nobody thinks of money as a boodle. So absolutely not. Everybody knows what thinking is and what growing rich is. Of course, much better. So the author of the book, Napoleon Hill, had that title, Use Your Noodle to Get the Boodle, in place up until a couple hours before the deadline to submit his title. And he decided to have a nap, and he put his subconscious mind to work, and his brain figured things out. And he woke up the next morning or after that nap, and he said, Think and Grow Rich. That's the new title. And that's made all the difference. And it's the same with the thinking that I've told you to do on a Friday morning. When you go out into nature and you get away from your workspace, when you go and do that, your brain operates differently. And the power of the subconscious mind, it starts connecting all the dots. As Steve Jobs says, we can only connect the dots looking backwards. And we're able to see, all the information we've gathered up, we're finally able to connect that into the powerful conclusions that move us ahead. And that's from the better planning and preparation. That's where you're going out and collecting the dots, and then you're connecting the dots, and then that allows you to be so much more successful. You grease the groove for in the morning through the process planning so that you are in that proactive, productive state, the professional state. You have professional productivity, and that's how you move ahead and get more done. And that's how you're able to do massive amounts of work in 15 minutes in the morning. That's how I was able to build my first six-figure business, which allowed me to quit my job, which allowed me to build seven-figure businesses, which allowed me to go and write my books, which allowed me to become an expert in the situations and the topics that we're discussing here in this program, which will allow you to go and be effortlessly disciplined so that you get more done and have more impact, and then have hours to use for other areas of your life. All from 15 minutes in the morning. It's so powerful. And I also learned this from my father, who is the legendary old drunk farmer. If you've ever read any of my content about the morning routine program that we have. My dad, for all the years of his life, got up in the morning, that I was alive, got up in the morning, no matter if he was hungover from drinking too much the day before, which was most often, and he got up and he went to work and he fed those cows, which was the most important thing in his business and in our, for making money for our family. He had to get up and he had to feed the cattle. And he did it regardless of whatever situation was the day before, because that was the number one priority. And I learned that, and I went on to start using that in my first business. The number one priority was growing that online business. And I said, well, you know what, if my dad can get up first thing in the morning with a hangover and feed the cattle and feed our family, then I can get up in the morning when I'm a young man and do the same. So the 15 minutes in the morning will be a game changer. And one of the things I had to do along the ways was eliminate perverse forms of procrastination. And you need to do the same. There's many, many temptations that we have to toss from our lives that are, leading to death by 1,000 cuts, right? First thing you want to do is you want to check your social media. You're going to get text messages. You're going to have emails. So you can't turn your phone on. You also can't go down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos for motivation. Like if you need motivation to go and do the work, you need to go and re-examine why you're doing the work and get your big why. You don't need a motivational video. You don't need a cold plunge. You don't need to do journaling. You don't need to do these things. First thing in the morning, you need to get down to it and attack the plan that you had built before. That's what a professional, proactive person does. You're going to get around to doing your meditation, your journaling and breathing and all that sort of stuff, which is good for you, but after you have done the work that moves you ahead. So don't let your day be cut into pieces by the perverse forms of procrastination. That's the thing that is stopping you right now. And I want, so again, back to the definition of insanity. If you have always gotten up and done a meditation and you watch some YouTube videos and then you've done a workout and then you've, taken care of the kids and had your breakfast and then you finally start working at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and you get sucked into the rabbit hole of other people's needs or emails. If you've been doing that for 3 years and you haven't gotten ahead, insanity is continuing to do that. And I'm not calling you insane. I'm saying that you're the type of person who realizes that something has to change. You made cause and effect, right? Like the effect is I'm struggling. The cause is this morning routine that needs to be fixed. And I'm going to follow Craig's advice. I'm going to be open-minded to it. I'm not going to be insane anymore. Instead, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to get rid of the perverse forms of procrastination. I'm still going to do those activities that I love to do. I will make time for them, but I'm going to make time in the morning to be a proactive professional. You get up and you eat that frog, as Mark Twain said. The exact quote is this. I've said it so many times, I remember it. If your job is to eat a frog, best thing to do is eat that frog first thing in the morning. If your job is to eat 2 frogs, the best thing to do is eat the biggest frog first, right? The biggest, most difficult task must be attacked first thing in the morning when you have the greatest discipline, willpower, and intention. And that will set you free. And as long as you've destroyed distractions and tossed the toxic temptations, you will have friction-free action. You will be able to go right into the proper planning and the process planning that you did before. You've greased the groove, and in 15 minutes, you will wow the world with what you're able to get done. I guarantee you, this will be the game changer that you need to become more productive. All right. Let us know in the coaching calls where you're struggling with this, where you need help. And we are here to help you out and take you to the next level.